What's up, guys? Welcome back to MACkite. This is Jake. I know it's been a minute. I've been doing more childcare with my two lovely daughters than kite flying lately. But recently I've been getting back out on the water, and my latest kite is the Harlem Force right here. This has been a great kite to kind of get back in, start ripping and riding again. Probably beyond my ability level at this point, but that's what kiteboarding's all about, aspirational. Right here on the tag, game changer. Is the Harlem Force a game-changing kite? Honestly, that might be a little bit of a stretch, but it is one of the most interesting kites I've ridden in a while. So if you don't know the backstory with them, they're a European-based company, and they're made in the Brainchild factory. There's a lot of really cool things going on there. It's 100% powered by solar power. They're looking to source more material from Europe. Obviously, they're doing construction there, and then they're working on becoming a more eco-friendly brand. We're gonna have to give that a little bit of time and see kind of which direction they take. There's a lot of people who say that by just shipping their kites without plastic or using a recycled bag, which I don't think is going the full mark. So time will tell, but it's really cool that that's part of their identity, their story. And with their technology story, there is some of that integrated. I think the really big things that people get excited about when talking about the Harlem Force is one, the pro weld construction. So that's less stitching. And then you also have the direct printing model. So instead of having the dyed fabric, they can go and do a digital print right on it. When you look at the canopy, it's really colorful, and that directly benefits from that new process. It also allows for a degree of customization, and it just keeps the entire process cleaner and leaner. So this kite, I think the best way to describe it is interesting. I really, really like it, but given all of the uniqueness to it, I think I have to say I would recommend you fly it before you buy it. You know, obviously we have a brick and mortar operation here, but we do the majority of our business online. We love serving you guys. We're like your internet local kite shop. But this one, it's tough for me to just say go out and buy it. You're gonna love it. There's a couple reasons for that. First, price. With that new technology, it does come at an increased cost. So you're kind of looking more towards Alula prices with this. I think if it's in the budget and what they're going for, if you identify with it, you're absolutely going to find that value. But if you're just chasing the latest, greatest new kite, I'm not sure that you're going to totally feel satisfied buying this one without trying it. I would probably describe my early riding impressions. It reminds me a lot of, say, a Big Air Slingshot RPM. A kite I really, really loved. I know the reference might feel a little bit dated, but I thought it was a very fun, aggressive, active flying kite. And that's how I feel on this Harlem Force. I just feel that the Force does it better. When you look at the canopy layout, it's gonna be 5 struts. You might even be mistaken into thinking it's 3 struts when you're kind of just looking at it at first. But there's these 2 kind of micro struts, which is also something Slingshot's done in the past. So the wingtip struts are actually quite close to one another. And then you got that center strut with some spacing. So it does really strike you as a 3-strut kite. Performance-wise though, it's very fast, very stable. You know, there's a reason that Lorenzo is setting, new records and winning podium finishes on this kite. It is very, very high performance, but it puts a lot of the onus also on the kite flyer. So it's not necessarily like a set it and forget it, pull in and boost kind of kite. You've really got to actively fly it, steer it, know what you're doing. And if you do that, the kite's gonna give you what you put into it. If you don't, you're gonna be wiping out a lot. I spent a lot of times over-rotating, exploding into the water. It made me feel really, really dusty at kiting. But it's also really fun. I like that very direct feel. You get that partially from the bridle. There's no pulleys or anything. It's a direct, snappy bridle. And the kite is really, really fast. I think if you could double kite loop, something I'll never be able to do, you would love this because it's so fast, because it holds power so well, and you don't get any kind of slack. It just rolls right with you. My single down loops, they felt amazing. You know, very, very smooth power delivery throughout, and not a lot of yankiness. You know, sometimes you down loop a kite and you get that big surge of power as it goes through the window and it really drives forward. Not with this. This felt very smooth, very controlled. On today's session, I went out, it was pretty light, it was very gusty. You know, obviously being aimed at a big air kite, you know, it's not gonna perform the best in light wind conditions, and that's what I found. You know, there was a lot of pumping the kite, a lot of body adjustment. I didn't have to walk, so that's one thing, but you know, blowing 14, 15 knots, I definitely was underpowered. Now, when it started coming up for those brief moments, 17, 18, I felt very, very comfortable. I did feel like it jumped quite well. Again, you gotta focus up, you have to time it, you have to steer it correctly. It's not just gonna be pull in and jump. You know, I had a couple where I just went very long, probably like 2 feet off the water, and it was just sloppiness on my part. But modern kites can kind of coax you into that, where they can, some of them are very, very boosty, pull in, it just lifts you straight up. You know, it still takes a degree of skill, but you can, I don't know, you can cheat a bit more. I didn't feel like there was any cheating on this. I paid the price for any cheating. I'm sure there's some footage out there, you know, of me looking not quite as good as I might have felt. Jumping, really, really impressed. Felt like the bar pressure, probably medium high range. I kind of like it that way, in that I can feel the kite. You can always tell where it is in the sky, what it's doing. Goes back to the looping. Again, just very consistent power through there. Didn't really ever yank me, but I always knew where the kite was. Any kind of aerial tricks, I felt like I could grab the bar, yank it, it would loop, catch me. I think it's a kite that once you get dialed in with, you're really, really going to enjoy it. But it flies a little different than a lot of modern kites out there. Again, when I pull back to the RPM, I really, really liked the RPM, and this feels like the next version of it, the level up. I would say materials-wise, with their seam construction, it does save weight. You know, they're saying, I think, maybe 20% weight, 30% stiffness. So you are starting to get some of that premium material advantage there. When you do look at the kite, you have to kind of look for those pro weld molded seams, you know, so that it's easy to look at the marketing and see, oh, well, there's no stitching. Well, it's still traditional Dacron. You know, there still is quite a bit of stitching, especially on the canopy itself. But the frame of the kite does have that pro weld seaming. And I do think this kite gives us a really good glimpse into future technology that we're going to see integrated with other brands in kite surfing. I'm sure the digital printing is really, really interesting to a lot of brands. I'd be really surprised if we don't see a brand or two maybe move some construction to the brainchild factory and adopt some of this technology. But otherwise, I think a lot of brands are looking at that, and you will see more digital printing. I do think the pro weld seaming, if you can figure out how to do that in a cost-effective manner, there are advantages to that. So I imagine we'll see that as well. So overall, very favorable impressions. A kite that I have a lot of fun when I grab. I also know it's kind of like when I get on my motorcycle, I gotta focus up. I gotta pay attention to what I'm doing, be intentional about it. And if you do that, it's very, very rewarding. So would I recommend it? Would I buy it? Absolutely. But I would definitely want to, again, try it before I did, to make sure that it really fits my particular riding style and how I define kiteboarding. But I do think if you like to do a little bit of everything, you would feel at home on this kite. It's just gonna take more input, more maintenance, more precision, but it's gonna reward you accordingly. Guys, as always, thanks for checking us out. This has been Jake with MACkite. Looking to see you guys more in coming videos.